So today I want to talk about one of the fundamental difficulties in mastering the guitar, which is learning the fretboard thoroughly. And it's really no wonder that takes guitarists quite a long time, because if you think about it, you know, on an electric guitar, for example, there's often about 22 frets and you've got 6 strings. So 22 times 6 makes for 132 different locations where you could put your finger in order to fret a note. And so that's a lot of territory to cover. So I want to talk about a couple fundamental aspects of the structure of the fretboard that will really help you speed up that process. So first of all, the guitar fretboard has a property I would call horizontal symmetry, which is that you could translate any shape horizontally along the length of the fretboard, and the relationship between the notes you're playing will be the same. Most guitar players, of course, are aware of this. Let's say if you play a perfect fifth, in this case starting on G, as soon as I've learned that single shape, I can translate it playing the exact same shape, just a single fret up or at any location horizontally along the fretboard. And there you go. I played the same shape fret by fret, giving me all 12 perfect fifths you could play, at least within one octave there. So as soon as you learn one shape, you kind of get the other 11 for free just by translating horizontally. But we'd be pretty limited if we could only start on the low E string here when we wanted to play the interval of a perfect fifth. So we'd like really to be able to start on any string, or at least any string but the high E in this case. So essentially I could take that same exact shape unchanged, starting on the G, on the A string, and there we go, we've got our perfect fifth on the A string. It's the exact same shape anywhere along the A string. Same if we're going between, starting on the D string, moving to the G string. So in this case we've got G to D, so same exact shape that we played here. And also if we go between the B and the E strings, we've got that same shape once again. So just by learning this one shape, we were able to translate that horizontally and also move it vertically to different locations, starting on different strings on the fretboard. And now we have many ways to play that same sequence of 2 notes. The one trick here is there's a modification that has to take place if we're involving the B string. And that's due to a fundamental asymmetry in the structure of the fretboard, what I would call a vertical asymmetry, which is that if we go this way across the fretboard, you'll see that any consecutive pair of strings is a perfect fourth apart. So E to A is a perfect fourth, A to D is a perfect fourth, D to G is a perfect fourth, B to E is a perfect fourth. The one exception is G to B is actually a major third, which is a slightly smaller interval. So in order to play the same sequence of notes, we're going to have to actually widen the shape we're playing by 1 fret. And so if I want to translate this G to D perfect fifth shape starting on the G string, then that means I'm going to have to, rather than having my fingers 2 frets apart horizontally, they're going to have to be 3 frets apart, so it'll look like this. So there, I can also play that perfect fifth starting on the G string. And so this of course applies to any sequence of notes between consecutive strings on the guitar. So for example, if I were playing a major triad, there we have a G major triad. First, as soon as you've learned that, as we said before, you can easily translate that to any location horizontally along the fretboard to play all major triads. And those exact same shapes are going to work just fine between any pair of strings, except if we're going between the G and the B string. In that case, we've got to move both those strings, both those notes that are going to fall on the B string up by a fret. So this shape gets moved into a shape that looks like this. So if you play this exact shape on the starting on the G string, going to the B string, you get a major triad again. So it's a simple trick for modifying a shape in order to be able to play it when you're including the B string. And there's some more nuances we could talk about there if we were skipping strings rather than going consecutively from one string to another. But I think these two properties, the horizontal symmetry and the vertical asymmetry, are fundamental to being able to quickly take a single shape that you learn, a single sequence of notes, and move it anywhere on the guitar. And you know, it's not a substitute for learning the names of the notes, which you should also do to have real control over the fretboard. But you know, this will actually help you learn the notes on the fretboard because as soon as you know that this is G, B, and D, then you can modify that shape and you're automatically learning, oh, these three notes must also be G, B, and D. So you can use these things to your advantage. So anyway, I just wanted to give a little overview of the structure of the fretboard, sort of to help those of you who are interested in really learning it thoroughly.